Hi there everybody, it's Verity here of MeekyButterfly.com. Thank you so much for joining me again today for another card making video for the Stamp Around the World video hop. So demonstrators from across the world are participating in our little hop today. The theme's embossing, so there's lots of interpretations that you can make for that, and of course the magical heat embossing is my favourite of those. Of course you can do dry embossing with embossing folders as well, but like I say, I thought we'd go for some heat embossing, and I'm going to use a bundle that I haven't shown on video before. So this is called Round We Go, and it makes these little pinwheels. There are dies that go with it that will cut out elements that you can use in different ways to cut out the actual medallions themselves, the little detail-y bits, and then this bit makes like a rosette, and there's lots of little detailed bits in between as well. So it's a fun set, lots of celebratory sort of themed sentiments in there. Okay, so we're just sticking with happiest birthday and just using those simple shapes in the background, and to make these sort of accent rosettes. So this one is Azure Afternoon with silver embossing, and there's a bit of pool party in the background, and I've used Blueberry Bushel for the sentiment. Okay, so the dies can combine to create these nice shapes as well. So we're going to recreate this in a different colourway, of course, because that's how I jam, right? So I've got a scrap of cardstock there for the little elements to go on top, and then I've got a background panel. This is 4 by 5 3/4. We're going to do greens, so the background, the larger rosettes, we're going to do in our light green, which is soft sea foam. So we'll get that inked up, and we'll get some of those popped on to the back. Just did 2 on the sample, okay, but I might stick a third one in, overlap it here. We're not going to see all this overlapping stuff. I feel like there was a bit of a space at the bottom there on the sample card, so I'm going to rectify that and just pop that down there. Just wipe away that excess ink. Okay, very simple, didn't put much thought into doing that. Okay, and it's just going to go onto a white card base eventually. Okay, and then we'll decorate. Okay, my complementary colour is going to be Shy Shamrock. So I don't use greens a lot, generally speaking, so and I certainly haven't used much of this colour, Shy Shamrock. This is one of the in colours. Okay, so we're going to do 2 of these in this really bright green. Okay, that might be a bit close. Let's do it that way. So we're doing the ink first, and then we'll do the embossing over the top. And I found out the hard way that if you do it the other way around, the ink doesn't dry on the embossing powder once you've heated it, so it's smudged everywhere. So do the ink first, and then it'll be dry, ready for the embossing over the top. So I've cleaned off the stamp because we need to do the embossing, but this needs to be absolutely dry before we do that. So they will dry quickly, enough to sort of manipulate if you like, but the anti-static bag will help with that, to remove any little excess in there where it's not quite dry. So it might feel dry, but it's not dry, and will also mean that we've removed some static from there, which won't cling to our powder. So we'll bring in the Versamark clear sticky ink, and we're going to use exactly the same stamp to go over the top of this, to fill in between those other those green elements. So just take your time, hover over the top. I kind of go look at a north, south, east and west, make sure the middle looks like it's going to be okay, and then come down on that. There we go. that I can see that's not quite right, but it's going to be fine. It'll do. When I'm doing like, you know, two-step stuff like this, it's slightly more difficult under the camera because I want to really get my head right over the top of this so that I can see clearly where the lines are. Oh, I'm stamping over the that was going to end up stamping over the green if I hadn't been paying attention then. Okay, so like I say, it's a bit harder to line up when I'm filming. It's close enough. Okay, you've obviously got more time to do that when you are working at home. So did the silver with the blue. We're going to do gold with the green. It'll probably look good with copper, to be fair. So we're going to bung on a whole heap of powder on there. Okay, just gently tap that off. Okay, just make sure you've got some good coverage on there. Well, that looks okay to me. And we'll pop that to one side while we funnel that away. This is our embossing additions kit. Comes with the tray, the little tweezers that I've just used, and a brush, which means you can just make sure you sweep away all that powder, whether that be off your tray or your project. Okay, and then we need to heat set that with our heat tool. So this will be really noisy for a minute, so if you don't like that, then obviously turn down the sound. Those of you who like that, yeah, you can enjoy the noise of this. I'm going to heat it on the back and then come onto the front. Let's get it warmed up first. Okay, so hopefully you got a good view of that turning nice and shiny. Isn't that lovely? Really nice colours that we've got there, and we can use the coordinating die and we can get this cut out. Okay, so I'm just going to line up those points there. And again, you know, depending on how accurate your stamping is, you might find that it's a little off. But that's looking not too bad. So we'll tape that into place and we'll run it through the die cut, Stampin' Cut and Embossing machine. Okay, and we'll be right back. Okay, so those are die cut out. Okay, and you get a nice white edge around those. We now just need to make our sentiment. So I want a complementary colour, so I'm going to use shaded spruce to stamp the sentiment, and we're going to give it plenty of room so that we can make sure we can die cut around it. Okay, so I'm going to put that about there on this piece of cardstock. This is just basic white. Okay, and then there's this little die in the set that just pokes out and just cuts those holes into the cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to line this up so that that inner edge is just hugging around that sentiment, and I'm actually looking to make one of those points at roughly 12 o'clock. Okay, it's not going to be exact, but it's going to be there. Okay, now then, So I've taped that down, but what we're going to have to do is trying to line this up as well. So let me just, because I don't want that to tear, so I'm just going to put it down gently on there, not tack that down too much. And then I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to take one of the points and kind of aim that at 12 o'clock-ish. I'm going to eyeball that one at the bottom at 6 o'clock, just make sure that that's sort of lined up or as near as I can get it. So if it looks okay by your eye, hopefully it'll work out. And now that we've got this one in place, I'm going to re-secure this so that it's not over that Stampin', just in case it tears on the way out. Okay, so the one thing you don't want to do is have these dies cross over themselves. Okay, so when you're putting them through the machine, just make sure that they are well taped down. Okay, and that you're that they're not going to shift. Okay, so transfer that to the machine and we'll get that run through. You could do it separately if you wanted to. Obviously it's 2 passes of the machine, you just need to do it separately. Okay, but obviously we want to try and save some time. Okay, and then you get these little bits and pieces, but that middle one doesn't cut out an edge. Okay, it's the big die that's cut the edge. Okay, so obviously you'd need to clean that out, ready for next time, and clean off your cutting board, cutting mat. We'll just scrape those into the bin. Okay, so we can just put this together now, easy peasy. Nice quick and simple card. So we're just using basic white as the card base. You could use a coordinating colour in the mix. We've got 3 that you could choose from, or cut this down a little bit and layer it up with one of the complementary colours. The choice is yours when it comes to that, but we're keeping it simple today. They're just a plain white card base, and we're going to use dimensionals to stick this down. Okay, a couple of reasons for that. It's a very economical way to add luxury to a card, and then also the embossing does curl up these things a little bit. It's just the moisture in the natural moisture of the cardstock. When you heat it like that, it makes it curl up. Okay, so our birthday then is going to go off here near to the edge. Try and get it straight-ish. And these two are just going to tuck in to make that sort of visual triangle with the actual card elements, rather than adding any additional gems or anything. If you want to add more gems, then do so, obviously, you know. This is my serving suggestion for you for our embossing themed cards that we're all sharing with you today. And I've got a bit more of this light green coming down into the bottom of the card as well, whereas on the original there was an empty space there. So you can kind of have fun with the background there. And I did also make another sample, and I just opted to do this one just because it was going to be quicker to film, really. But you can really go to town with this. And what I did was I didn't do the inking, I just did lots of embossing. So I did the larger image in the gold, and then used the silver for the smaller one, and then just I found a colour of my choosing for this. This happens to be blueberry bushel, but you could obviously mix that up. We've also got the copper embossing powder that you could have mixed in as well. And there's also the basics, so there's black, white and clear, so you could do like a Jacob's coat or a heat resist, anything like that, with coloured cardstock as well. Okay, so there we go. So these are the featured cards. There's a bonus sample there. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this idea. Please do check out the links in the description to all the other demonstrators participating today and what ideas they're going to share. Okay, hope you enjoy it. Stay safe, take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.